Hello and welcome to Sacred Psychology, the podcast for misfits and mystics. Here, neuroscience and spirituality go hand in hand. Join me, Tamara Powell, on a no-holds-barred adventure outside the box, because that's where all the truly great shit happens anyway. Welcome back to Sacred Psychology. I'm your host, Tamara Powell. Today, I have a really unique episode for you. I sat down with my very own aunt, Mrs. Sandra Anderson. She's a fellow purple sheep in the family, don't you know? She is a life and soul coach and also an integrative multi-level energy healer. So you see, the apple really doesn't fall that far from the tree in my fam. Sandy describes her mission as encouraging, inspiring, and empowering others to know their truth, to hear the voice of their soul, and to embrace the best life possible. Today, she and I are diving into the incredibly powerful and very necessary topic of protecting your psyche. So we explore some of the struggles that so many who want to live a spiritually conscious and empowered life have when it comes to using discretion and implementing boundaries. We talk about what is a psychic attack? How can you tell the difference between this and our own paranoia and ego at times? What are some common signs of a psychic attack? And how can we make sure that we're not opening ourselves up to being more vulnerable? It's an interesting conversation, to say the least. So without further ado, I give you my incredible and incomparable aunt, Mrs. Sandra Anderson. Hey, Aunt Sandy.
Hey, Tamara, how are you today?
I'm so good. I'm super excited about this.
Oh, so am I. I've been looking forward to this. This is wonderful.
Yes, 2 purple sheep in the family. Although
Yes.
there's more, but we're...
Well, there is more, but I think I started it, or at least I became the
You were the trailblazer.
the trailblazer. I was the thorn in the sheep's side that wouldn't go away.
And I came behind you to spray paint.
Hey, I'm glad you did, hon. I really am. It's like somebody had to help me with this.
Yes.
Can only go so far.
So for people who aren't blessed to know you yet, talk to me a little bit about your journey thus far to do the work that you do.
Okay, how did I get going?
Yeah.
I got started when I was born.
Mm.
Life gave me some experiences that I probably signed on for and didn't read the fine print before I came down into this existence. But
Yes.
nothing I can do about that now, except I have to work with it.
Mm.
I am an empath.
Yeah.
I am intuitive, and I was born an empath, but I didn't have the owner's manual.
Right.
That was to be discovered. But I also had experiences along the way that made me shift, change, have self-doubt, have life experiences. I belonged to the Me Too generation before we even called it Me Too.
Sure.
It happened at birth, or it happened shortly after birth, or somewhere along there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't feel sorry for me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it was all part of the divine timing.
Sure.
Because what it did is it made me aware of the first thing that I needed to do to protect myself, which was feel and know what's going on.
Right.
Now, as a great big spirit shoved down in that itty bitty tiny body, you don't get to talk. Mm. So your body takes on all this information through all its senses to start dishing out to you as you got to be more verbal or gained your language. And once I went through that and had some more, I just, my epiphany came after some, I won't go into the whole time, but to put it this way, it was quite difficult. And I decided, I'm not doing any more of this. I got to figure out what's going on. And I have to do it myself because I don't trust the establishment because they don't get me. Mm-hmm. If you've listened to any of the Me Too, it's all in your head, or you didn't know it, or you feel too much, get a thicker skin.
Right.
Well, that's kind of hard to do. We can't just go develop, the hide of an elephant and still walk around like a human.
Great way to put it. That's true.
It doesn't work real well. Mm-hmm. But you start developing practices, your behaviors can change. And that doesn't give you an insight, or it didn't give me an insight as to how come I could walk into a room and I'd want to walk out faster than I came in.
Right.
I didn't know what that was. So the journey started that way. That's long story short.
Yeah.
But why did I get into it? Because I wanted to find a way of breaking through and getting past the blocks and getting out of the hurt and knowing how to control it. Now, I could talk my way in and out of a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. We had counselors in our family. Mm-hmm. All they did was scare me because they wanted to, get into the head and say, take it out. It's like, hey, I got a lot going on in here. Mm-hmm. And when we talk, it doesn't go away.
Right.
I can close my eyes and I can see everything in great detail. I can feel everything in great detail. I know things before they're happening sometimes in great detail. Mm. That's not answering the question.
Right. So you had to go outside the box to really learn. I had to go out. Mm-hmm. I had to go outside the box to learn how to live inside the human box. Mm. And to start first was learning how just to survive, and that was duck and stay invisible, and did a lot of listening, did a lot of people watching. Then, when your body and the divine says, okay, it's time to start going into this stuff, I started recognizing issues with the tissues, as some massage therapists call it. Yes.
You going by somebody that you don't even know, but they trigger a memory, and you wanted to just flee.
Right.
Or fight, or like, what is this? You're like, why are you bothering me? And they're not. Right. It was my perception. That led me through, I just started hitting all the different possibilities. I had a chiropractor that was pretty intuitive that wanted me to take up massage therapy because I was able to tell where problems were before there was problems. And they recognized that and thought that might be a way of getting to it. And I just went, oh, no, not doing that. But that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's when I discovered Shen, which was a trauma release therapy. And here's how the conversation went. Met this woman at a health fair. Don't know why I stopped to talk to her other than I'm always curious. So I have to ask questions. Why is the perfect question to start to lead anything? Why do you do that? Mm-hmm. And she says, well, this is what we do. We can use your body's own ability to heal. I'm already onto that because I was already into nutrition and food that can heal.
Right.
So that was one of my, let's get outside the box and heal the box with food and nutrition and not antibiotics and everything else. And she says, so is there anything bothering you? It's like, that's an odd question to ask. No. And so what she started asking, interview, what did you have to do that kind of bothered you the most? And do you ever have any feelings to where you feel upset or hurt and you don't know why? And it was like dinging every little bell and whistle I just talked to with a friend. Like she had heard and tapped into the conversation. That's and I went, no, I don't think so. I'm just fine. Well, she talked to me about 10 minutes, and then she said, I need to stop you. She says, it's okay. She sat there, but in the last 10 minutes I've talked to you and the question I've asked, you've told me at least 5 to 6 times that you're just fine. Are you sure you're just fine? So, long story, became a short one real quick. I took some therapy sessions with her using the physio-emotional trauma release therapy called Shen at the time. Mm-hmm. It's a non-invasive, light hand approach of using your own biofield and helping it to release those trapped physical memories that are hurtful. But it's not going to release the good ones, so the good ones don't take a lot of energy to hold on to.
Right.
But the negative ones are very depleting. And I got hooked because I was seeing and reading things faster than she could get through them. And she said, I think you need to go talk to my instructor. Well, that started in around, 94, 95. And I did 3.5, 4 years of training between it and Healing Touch. basically simultaneously.
Wow.
And so did I do therapy work? Every time I had training sessions, which were called intensives for a reason.
Right.
They were generally 5 days.
Wow.
So the half day to start you with, and the next 4 were the rest of it. And the average amount of sessions were between 14 to 20 each time. So you did approximately 20, 24, maybe 1 5-day session. You had we had 2-3 weeks off, and then we came back and did another set. So yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was.
And, side note on that, I'm already thinking it just brings up for me, it feels like a lot of this type of, therapeutic work, whether it's through energy healing or, somatic therapies in general, really seem to be getting rushed. The more what's the word I'm looking for? Monetized, that's the word, monetized,
Yeah.
And I love that your work was still very intensive at that time. And I really kind of encourage people, slow it down.
Yeah, it is very intensive. We were required to go through it as a client. Then we had training to see if we really wanted to do it. And then we were required to go through it as a client again with our mentor, which was a minimum of 10 sessions.
Wow.
And we had to do them within a weekend time. So yes, it became very intense, but then you had to follow up after that. So the work didn't stop. But what it did show me is that I could get through a whole lot more, and those that I worked with less talk and more work, because the words didn't always touch it. Not stating they weren't needed, but they didn't touch it because the body was the receptacle that was holding it, not the brain. The brain didn't care. It wasn't around. It wasn't basically around putting this all together.
No, I so agree. I think even still being in the box, because I dance between.
Yes, I know you do.
One side outside the box, it wasn't until I fully embraced that my work with my clients really took off, and I just wish more counselors. I mean, the goal global consciousness is awakening, but
yes,
I just wish there wasn't still so much fear-based energy about pulling from our spiritual gifts.
Well, and yes.
Because it does go beyond the words, you know what I mean? The client could be saying one thing, and I'm going, but tell me about this, because...
Right, and that's... So I danced between both worlds. And I danced with and against myself. Do I go back and do some additional master's work in psychic or in psychiatry and psychology and counseling? I've got basically a minor in it.
Sure.
And my biggest teachers, when I was like, don't do it. Because your intuitive gifts are already dancing those lines and it muddies the water. Well, it depends.
Yeah.
I do watch it both. I do read a lot that way. Why? To stay in the language. But also it gives me insight of how far is it coming in the consciousness. Yeah, that makes sense. We do have some very enlightened teachers that will open to that. And I was fortunate to work with several when I was doing my undergrad. And I was an adjunct teacher, I think it was 4 years running, with a professor in his abnormal psych class, or actually called it left brain, right brain. Putting the left and the right together. Integrative. And so I came in and did one full class of how I look and view things, and then taught them how to teach or to give them examples of how it was for their own, of reading on the intuitive lines. And he would introduce and state, well, this is Sandi. She's a former student of mine, but she's also somebody that has gifts that every one of you probably wishes they had. And I'd wait till he'd finish and I'd correct him to say that everyone does. It's just to what degree do you use them? Right. And we would prefer to go through exercises, giving them examples in experientials to have that. It was always wonderful to sit back there to take the questions and answers, and on the inner sight to see all the little bubbles go like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I love
never
those
knew
moments.
that.
Yes.
The moments were awesome. So it kept me moving that direction.
Which is why I'm so excited to talk to you about this topic that you and I have been exploring then. Because
yes,
for people who want to live that spiritually conscious life and wake up and, you know, they have those light bulb moments and they want to really take that to the next level, there's always this conversation that has to be had around discretion and boundaries.
Absolutely. And the discretion of boundaries really has to start with the discernment of what yours are.
Right.
And to feel them. And I know we used to say, what do you mean feel? You have to feel everything? I said, well,
yeah.
Are you sitting in a chair? Do you know you're sitting in a chair? So why do you describe to me why you know you're sitting in a chair without using the word feel?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So for those of us, you know, who had, especially for those coming out of the Me Too experience, boundaries are something that it's like they've never been able to have. Agency, autonomy, are you kidding?
Right.
Right?
I agree. Yeah.
And here they are walking around. They want to be living in love and light and compassion. And for some reason, the spiritual community especially, but also just a lot of the women in traditional therapy that I work with, and men, but mostly women, have no idea how they can still show up in loving kindness and compassion and yet have firm boundaries.
Oh, well, do we need psychic boundaries?
Yeah. Do we?
Why do we need psychic boundaries? Who needs psychic boundaries? Absolutely everyone that is here listening or will listen or is not even here and listening.
Right.
If you don't know the intention of your boundaries or where you are at, then you are not aware of those that are poking around and wanting to, you could say, gather all the cyber material they can find.
Yeah, say more about that.
Our bodies or our cyberspace, our psychic space, is a waveforms. You could say it's a direction. It's all your thoughts. It's your intentions that are there.
Yes.
But there you have your emotional ones, which most everybody can sense and feel. But you have those that are beyond that. The ones that are just, they're not totally conclusive. They're your spiritual. They're your psyche. They're the beliefs and the thoughts to which you have been exploring. You have bought into. You have created. Or you have borrowed bits and pieces from another one, and it's formulated who you are.
I love that. That's a great way of describing it.
Now, your vulnerabilities are also created by your same intentions and your beliefs through the perceptions of what you've lived, what you've been gifted, and by what you resist, which will persist until you finally realize why you're resisting it.
Yes. And then when you wake up and you have that light bulb moment, you're like, hot damn, why didn't I do that 20 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. And then you go like, oh, don't tell me I have to put on those extra special specs to read that super fine print again that says this is another one of those things that you asked for.
Right. Learn this lesson. So when we're talking about boundaries and this super taboo subject, as you know, of psychic attack.
I know.
Oh, so taboo.
It happens.
A lot. Way more than I think people are aware of. And I want to preface this by saying, for those who aren't even, you know, woo or hippie shit or gypsy or any of those things.
This got nothing about hippie stuff.
Right. Right. I like to, you know, start the conversation by saying, you know, your psyche, your biofield, like what most of us are totally comfortable with talking about, your mind, you know, can be the way that I hear you describing it in psychological language, like operant conditioning and really your worldview and your experiences that can be cracked by traumatic experiences around you.
Absolutely.
And in your own life.
And they could be trapped by traumatic experiences to which you were kept hidden from.
Mm-hmm.
But you were in the effects of it by those who are your caregivers.
Sure. That even reminds me of, studies on epigenetics and, 16 generations down, people are feeling the effects of, poverty and racism and all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go there then. How do we, what are our vulnerabilities? What is a psychic attack? Open that door for us, wherever you want to go.
Okay, so where would we need, how about we go over, like, what will we need? Do you need protection?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Yes.
Who needs? People that work closely with other people.
Mm-hmm. Which is a huge portion of the population.
That's true. People who use drugs.
Mm.
Whether it's recreational or non-recreational.
Sure.
People like yourselves and mine who we listen to and we attract to us those people that have challenges to which we're there to help them with. Do you give a great deal of energy to other people and not protect how much energy you're giving? Do you often go to some places where there's people and you come out and you feel more drained than when you walked in?
Raise his hand.
Yeah. Who hasn't raised their hand yet?
Right, exactly.
Do you ever feel sensitive to the atmosphere around you? Can you feel if a friend is depressed and you're not even in the same room with them?
Mm-hmm.
Can you feel the disturbed anger? Can you feel the anger of somebody that's really disturbed and you may not even know them?
Already I can just hear the listeners like feeling that sense of overwhelm. Oh my God, what do we do?
Right. Are you ever afraid to relax?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I could make the list grow longer. Yes, so there you do. So how do you take care of that? Well, number one, be open to the fact that you might need a few boundaries.
Amen.
It is okay.
Say it again for the people in the back. Yeah. You need boundaries.
You might need some boundaries or some lines of don't cross there, or maybe I need to take care of me. And taking care of you is your responsibility, nobody else's. That means eating food that nourishes you inside out. Mm-hmm. That means getting enough sleep. That means if you are prone to having an asthmatic type reaction to smoke, well, then get away from it.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go into that place if you see smoke coming out the end.
Right.
It sounds frivolous, or it sounds trite, or it sounds too simple to be true, but in essence, that is part of it. That is a good part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've done several classes on this because I had others that's like, well, what else do we do? And I said there, well, here we go. Let's get into some fun stuff.
Yeah.
We do live in a world of time and space. There's just no two ways about it, and we need our awareness. That is one of our biggest lines of defense. When you're aware, you can be aware, and when you can be aware, you can be where. You can be there, and you can be where. And that is the first tool of your protection. And that's God. That's a God-given. God is given. You're born with it. It's just a matter of you got to exercise it.
Right.
You can learn to feel the difference by learning your own inner beliefs of just how does that feel to you? What does good feel to you? What does not good feel to you? Like, have you ever taken that nice, beautiful, delectable piece of dark chocolate and let it melt in your mouth and not chew it up?
Yeah, savoring.
Savoring. And what does that feel like versus the other? That's subtle.
No, and it's huge, though. I remember reading Dr. Lissa Rankin's Mind Over Medicine, and it's such a simple question of what does your body tend to say no to? Freaking rocked my world of, oh, good point. Like, I noticed certain types of beer gave me a headache, and yet I was still drinking them anyway.
Right.
Silly, but like you said, the awareness is key. Sometimes I got to wake up and then pay attention. I love that. Sink into what are you feeling right now? Oh, maybe you shouldn't do that, Tams.
So that would be the first thing I would work with somebody. It's like, well, do you have a knowing of what good is or what not good is? Or what is your yes? What does your yes feel like? Nobody knows what their yes feels. So I teach them, walk them through a couple exercises. I said, so what does your yes feel like? Okay, now that we know what the yes is, so what is your no?
Yeah.
And does it change? Does it change because you're anxious, or does it change because you're mad? Does it change with fear? Does it change with being aggravated with your teenage son?
Raise his hand.
If you have one. All these are part of your intuitive library, as I call it. You can draw from it, but you do have to pay attention to it.
So let me ask you this then, because that just sent off a little light bulb in my own head. Are you saying that it is possible for our no, what that feels like, to change in different settings?
Yes.
Yeah. Really?
Yes.
I don't know why I hadn't thought about it that way, but that is so true. Depending upon the emotion that's running through me in that moment, the no does feel different.
Mm-hmm. For somebody that's highly sensitive to atmosphere, places, people, things, live, objects, I've had to learn to discern it. And that's where the discerning comes in, to discern the differences, discern how it, and I also have to know if it's me.
Right.
A lot of this, that's where the boundaries come in. It's like, if you're the loving mom that believes everything your kid says right down to the last word, you are going to be taken to the cleaners very quickly, because kids are going to try to work around it. They have to. That's how they learn.
Amen.
So we have to learn to discern. Came to me, it's like, pick your battle.
Yep.
Is it a battle you want to win, or do you want the whole war to be won? I just as soon win the war, but I don't need to win all the battles.
Yes.
That took a while to figure that out, because that wasn't really in my language mode.
It wasn't mine either.
So once I got that, I'm using that as a concept because we both have kids, and I've had younger ones. It's like, oh, well, you know what? If you want to have this issue with your room, that's fine. But I have an issue when it comes to having things neat, or at least clean, when we're going to have guests and company
people
and
over.
Lots of people. That's
my rule. Yep.
And of course, I got a lot of resistance that you're trying to run my life. So I said, all right, so how would you want to do it? Give me time. I said, okay, I'm giving you a week. I don't care when you do it, but if it's not done by such and such a time, you're going to have me to deal with. You might not like how I do it either, because if I come in and clean, you're not going to like what happens. So that was a boundary set, but it freed me up.
Right.
I didn't have to put negative energy in it. I set what the expectation was. I had to follow through. Sure. And in doing so, it freed up them to say they had freedom to do it their way.
Yes, I was just going to say that it gives them such a gift that you and I didn't always get, of agency and feeling into what that feels like for them.
Right.
How do they know what's important and not important to them, etc., without trying?
Without trying.
Yeah.
And that's simple.
Right.
But it was a hard one to learn because, as you just said, we weren't always taught that. Now, I came out of a Me Too, we're going to use the Me Too, hashtag Me Too, when you were expected just to blend in and not rock the boat.
Right.
And if you did rock the boat, you might get backlash, especially if you were a female.
Right. Most likely guaranteed. Yes.
Yeah, guaranteed. So I had to learn, often the hard way, and not always had teachers like when is it good and when is it not good, and that wasn't always successful.
Yeah, no, but that's how we learn.
But that is how we learn. And here, something the Dalai Lama said, and why do we want to call people out when they're stepping through our protection or over our boundaries or messing with our thought process? Your personal space should be sacred to you. That means at work, that means anywhere. That means your personal space is yours. And if you sense or feel somebody's treading on it, you got to make a change, like move or whatever, or tell them, here's a reason.
Right.
One of the reasons there is a need to adopt a strong countermeasure against somebody who harms you is that if you let it pass, there is a danger of that person becoming habituated to extreme negative actions, which in the long run will cause that person's own downfall and is very destructive for the individual, him or herself.
Ooh, that's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. That means your acceptance of knowing that you need to develop your own versions of protection will bring you your own power back. And when you need to know it, you will know. What you need to know, you will know. It's just asking because it's already there. It's a matter you have to be ready to find and accept the truth. And it is being truthful. So if you ask yourself, I really need it, and you say, no, I'm okay with this, and you kind of get that irky little bubble in the bottom of the stomach, no, you just lied to yourself. Really? Hello, let's
and
try
you will
that
know.
again.
Yeah.
You'll know. You'll know. So what can you do? You can maintain your own energetic field and bubble. How? You think about it. What does it feel like when you feel happy and you're expanded and you know what the whole room's like? I can sit up and I just kind of feel like, oh yeah, wow, I got some space here. So think of the first time you met that bully in the hallway and they're about ready to crash into you. What does that feel like?
Yeah.
So if you want to have peace, you better be it. So if you're always in a place of chaos, and as soon as you don't have chaos, you feel kind of off, what does that mean?
I know a lot of women who are addicted to chaos.
Yeah, I do too. And it's like, hello, you're telling me you have headaches or you're not sleeping well, you got high blood pressure and you shouldn't because you're not even of the type to have it. Why? What are you and you feel off when there's not any drama around.
Right. And it's so often automatically comes back to those core beliefs or that operant conditioning.
Yes.
Why do I feel like I need this? And so many people, and this is a stage of inquiry that a lot of people will have to marinate in that soul soup for quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because at first they get so resistant. What are you talking about? I'm not addicted to drama.
No.
What's funny is that one of the first things I think whenever I see those silly posts on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen it, this is a drama-free zone. I'm letting go of the drama. I just think, and that was dramatic.
Yeah. So how to change your vibration or your feeling is to first note that it's there.
Right.
I use the word pause. Give yourself the gift to pause. The pause to perceive and participate in perceiving, in that awareness. With doing that, you get an understanding and a sense of it so that now you can exhale and you can make a change for it.
Good. It's that space between stimulus and response.
Yeah, and it doesn't take but a moment to note the real difference. Once you get to know how you feel when you're running at full stress adrenaline mode, that's when your psychological, your psychic defense really have to kick in, because that's when you're the most vulnerable. That's when you need to give yourself a gift of time out. That means, Mom, you got 2 kids, go lock yourself in the bathroom for 10 minutes.
Yep.
Or just give yourself a moment just to think, I'm just going to count to my 10. I'm going in that little sacred space where I'm just going to do it even if it's for 10 seconds. That helps you to diffuse that. Humor works wonderful.
Yes, it does. Stop taking everything so freaking seriously.
Right, because everything's seriously for somebody else, but it doesn't mean it has to be yours.
Amen. That's not my circus. Those are not my monkeys.
No monkeys, yep. I love watching the monkeys, but guess what? They weren't mine.
That's right. And I think when we do engage in that whole, full belly laugh, or just even internally, we know through research, it raises our Hertz level, our vibrational frequency, as us woo types would say.
Yes.
And I think it really does. In my head, I can feel the boundary, getting pushed out in a good way.
Right. When you give yourself the time to just sit with it and just be open to the fact, okay, I'm going to feel what humor feels like. You can't hold a giggle in. I'm sorry, try it.
Nope.
You can't hold a joy bubble in.
No.
Try it. It's
Mm-mm.
not going to work.
Mm-mm.
Now, if you want to hold a lot of anger in, you go right ahead.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy, though.
It does.
And it
It
does.
takes such a toll on the body, too.
Yes. That's where taking care of yourself is so important. Breathe. I don't mean just do the little, see if your shoulders can move, an infinitesimal inch and your stomach stay tight. That's not going to work. We have a lung that's, it's about the size of a large, I don't know, how do I think about it? Balloon that's somewhat deflated. And you only want to inflate the top quarter? Excuse me, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You have this beautiful butterfly diaphragm that loves to do this work.
Mm-hmm.
If you let it do the work, it's also going to help you to stay sweet and in the calm spot. And it gives you a chance to check out where you're at. Your thoughts are your power.
Mm-hmm.
Your intention is your power. It is what attracts to you whatever you put out. Your intention is the energy that helps focus whatever you're doing for the day, no matter what it is.
So speaking about thoughts then, let me ask you this. Is a lot of, my clients, and I see this on Facebook and group discussions, there are questions of how do I tell the difference between, is this just my own thoughts about whether or not this person or this thing isn't good for me? Is it paranoia? Is it my ego? Or is this actually the thing? Any tips for helping them discern that? Back to that word.
Yep. First thing is to learn how to discern yourself. So that's knowing yourself in the moment. So if you're getting that, it's practicing grounding is another way of saying it. Where are you right now? Can you, and I've done a little mini workshop. I called it, do you know where your toes are?
That's adorable.
Do you know where your toes are?
Mm-hmm.
Besides telling me they're on your feet. Can you feel them? If you have to look, you're not here. If you have to look, then your intention of surrounding yourself and knowing where you are in time, space, and in the now is not all here. Because to be able to know what discerning is, if it's yours, is to be in the now and know where you are. How are you feeling in the now moment?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
If you're feeling it, let's say, you've got that thought about such and such person. So how does that make you feel? Where are you feeling that? Do you know where that's coming from? Is it really coming from your fear? Does it feel like your fear? Or does it feel like it's somebody else's? If it's somebody else's, then you just discern that it's not you.
Right. Oh, that's good. So grounding and present focus.
Very important.
And
being in the now. Be present right here and now.
And then learning to trust your intuition and giving yourself permission to make decisions based on it.
Right. Start out small. I tell everybody, start out, practice getting your favorite parking spot. It works.
Yes, that's good.
It really works. Start your day before you even get up. Just say, oh, I'm thankful I woke up and I'm alive and there's this nice bed and I intend to have what? What kind of a day would you like to have? Be careful what you put out there.
That's true.
Because it often comes. Your shower can be the best place to clear up all the old stuff.
Yes.
As you take a shower, give yourself permission. This is also going to be a shower that if there's anything left in my biofield that doesn't belong here, it's going down the drain. Wonderful thought. It's a great visual. Our minds do not think in periods, commas, and long words. That's not how our mind works. Science is already proving that.
That is a tweetable moment right there. That was good.
We don't
Say it one
do
more
that.
time. Say it again.
Our minds do not think in commas, periods, long words. It thinks in pictures, thoughts and feelings. They all kind of move together. It's and those who want to try to tell me that it does, I think, okay, so you describe to me how it felt without any thoughts when you got kicked in the shin.
It's so powerful because I think what you're really drawing upon is, language is how we explain that feeling to someone else, but that's not how we're experiencing it.
Right. And that experience is intentions that have come together from our superconscious or our non-ego mind, putting it together, and it's come into fruition. It's come into the real world, and you're going like, ow, yeah, hello, I'm here.
Right.
Close your eyes, everyone. I'm going to give everyone a little bit of excitement here.
Yes, please.
Close your eyes. Just take a moment to feel your feet on the floor, wherever you are. If you can't put your feet on the floor, feel your butt where you're sitting or where you're standing. And just for one moment, we'll take a couple of deep breaths in. And the intention I'm going to give you is that from divine mind or God, however you wish to look at it, we're going to ask for it to say, I will clear my mind. Please clear my mind of all extraneous fragments. We're going to defrag our mind's computer. So please clear my mind and clear my body. We're going to say that one more time. Please clear my mind and clear my body. And with that, clear my soul and clear my soul. Clear me psychically throughout my field so that I can have clarity, I can have peace, and I can see me for who I really am. And you can continue the same thing over again and add to clear my home, my work area. And in doing so, it is done. How does that feel? They're just words, but the intentions behind it were, you can fill in the blank.
Yeah, I'm still floating in happy bliss. Thank you for that. My right shoulder feels so much better.
I'm glad your right shoulder feels better. I was feeling that right shoulder myself.
Yes. Right behind my shoulder blade. That is good.
So I have a couple of personal favorites. People ask, like, what do you do? I know your brother pretty well. My brother, your dad, pretty well. He's got some of the driest humor and offhand remarks that one can ever have.
True.
And in discovering them, I thought, I must have a little bit too. Because somebody asked, like, what do you do to protect yourself in the workplace or around people that are toxic, venomous, energy suckers, psychic vampires, energy vampires? People know those terms.
Yes.
If not, we can give you a description. There's somebody that you come near, and when you leave, you feel like any extra emotional energy has been drained of you, and that you want to take a nap immediately, and don't wake me up for about 2 hours. How's that? Okay.
Perfect.
So part of that, it's like words, like you just said, we use words to describe things. It takes too many words to describe all that. I love a metaphor, and I love a visual.
Yes.
Because they work wonderful. Well, I'm pretty sure your dad has shared with you what Grandpa Jack does with duct tape. Well, your aunt likes to use purple duct tape. Now, I'm going to read this to you, and this is basically a metaphor. And then I can give you the disclaimer as to, well, you should understand the disclaimer.
Right.
Okay. We all need a loving barrier, especially in the workplace, for those people that come around and they can't say what they mean without having a lot of negativity attached to it. But it's still information you need to know. And sometimes it's easy to discern and keep it at bay, but other times it's not. So I say, well, just bring your purple duct tape. Just keep a roll of it in your desk. You don't need to use it. Just look at it. And what it means is, purple is very much a divine color.
Yes.
As us purple sheep know. And I think of it as a loving barrier. So I think of encircling that person or putting a piece somewhere on them. They don't need to know where, in my mind, that everything they need to say to anyone else, myself included, has to go through the filter of the purple duct tape. The purple duct tape is going to take everything that I don't need to know about, don't need to feel, don't need to see, anything, and it's going to stick, and the only thing I get is what I need. Now, sometimes, to get a little more, you're going to have to surround the loving barrier all the way around them and everything you touch. Just saying. It's kind of like what Grandma would tell me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, some people never learned that one. I had a client at work, and they undergo some very difficult times with coworkers in an office. This is in a college setting. So now you know what kind of energy comes walking through. Well, they needed some way of slowing this down because everybody was getting PTSD of the PTSD to anybody that looked like the same person walking in the department. Like everyone would start going, oh my God. So I asked her, sit there, well, for you, think of it of you putting this invisibly before you even come in around the entire office because you know that person's coming. It's a visual. I'm not saying take it all the way around unless you could really do that. And it's with that intent behind it. Well, after doing that, the end of the week, what the noticeable difference was everyone's like, God, I don't know what changed, but we haven't had any of that. We just laugh because every afternoon, that's what we would do. It's a visualize. We're going to, it's like every door, every window, anything that could allow anything negative, especially coming at that time, whatever was going on, it can't come in. The only thing that can come in is what has to be there.
That is so good. I love that because it's applicable to every age group. Like I'm going to use that with my daughters. That is
absolutely awesome. I used it on mine and you know them. So
yes. And
my disclaimer is you have your favorite duct tape. I use purple. Some people use others. That's fine. I like purple. It is not to be applied directly to that person. Okay. Or child. It is a metaphor to use within the mind's eye.
Yeah, it's a visualization.
It's a visualization. And just that alone, after the little disclaimer or the discussion we had, is all you needed.
Right.
I have people that, okay, so you have the venters, you know, the ones that haul in suitcases full of venting. I don't mind. I mean, I understand some of it comes with the territory, but sometimes like, well, you know, do you have to carry this? Well, I don't know what to do with it. I said, so I lead them through some ways of releasing that. Metaphorically, we use I love the purple garbage bags or the big green dumpster.
Yeah.
So before we can even have a mindful relaxation session, it becomes rote that I know you probably don't see it, but if there's anything you might possibly think you've brought along with, it can't come past the door, by the way. So I don't know what you would like to put it in, but I do, you know, I offer you to use pink garbage bags, or if you like big green dumpsters, you put it in there. And when we're all done, when you leave, if it's still there, you can have it. But it has to have your name on it. If it doesn't have your name on it, it doesn't belong to you.
I see what you did there. That's good. That's really a big chunk of this, isn't it? Is really discerning what's yours and what's not yours.
Yes.
Stop picking it back up.
Right. And that goes for us who are those that are the healers or the therapists that are doing it. Yeah, we have to do that too. That means we have to go to somebody that we can trust and be vulnerable enough to do that. I know that's hard. It's not easy because often we get there because we have had those experiences in the past and we worked through it to get to that point. So we have to create our own tribe to help us do that.
It's the best gift to ever give yourself. I mean, seriously, yoga instructors have other yoga instructors. Dentists have other dentists. Why wouldn't healers have other healers for them?
Yeah, well, why wouldn't they?
Right?
Right. Also, I use the purple and pink tornadoes. They're wonderful for kids. They don't want to have the monsters are back. I said, they're all right. So what do we got to do here? You know, oh, well, my kids have told me, you know, we got dragons in the bedroom. I said, well, they can live here if they want. They just have to be nice. They can't be nice. They got to go. Period. That's it. Well, we as adults have things like, how do we leave the nasties where the nasties live and not bring them home? Or I'm afraid that I'm coming home to nasties. Well, purple tornadoes are wonderful for that. I just send them ahead and say, you know, angels, take them out there and clean it all up. I don't want to deal with it when I get home. Or I don't want it to be there when I get to my workplace. Or it's funny, it's lighthearted, but it makes me raise my energy. It's like, I'm not going to work with that which is not mine.
Yes.
And I have to trust that the sacred, divine,
Right.
I'm asking for it to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And it lightens the load.
For sure.
And you can start it before you even get there. It doesn't have to be done when you get there. You can do it ahead of time. You can say, I would like to see that ahead of time. That goes back to how do we practice this? Knowing your own intuitive ability.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from one of my earliest teachers, like, well, practice asking for a parking spot. I still ask for parking spots. It works.
I love asking for parking spots.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's trusting that it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you learn to build the trust. Don't, I've had people, now that you told me this, I can go win the lottery. I says, sure. Got to buy the ticket. But if you don't get mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get what it is, you still get what it is you absolutely need.
Right.
And if you think you want it and it's the only way you're going to get it, you're going to not probably be happy about that.
We could have a whole nother conversation on that, and maybe we will.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah.
So as we start to wind down, this has been so incredible, and I know listeners are already feeling lighter because I feel lighter, and so every time I'm going to have to re-listen to this in the car and enjoy it on the way home. Are there any closing thoughts? What would you want to tell the world if they were all listening, and I hope that they are, on taking care of themselves and their soul?
Your soul is your life container that goes beyond your physical life.
Ooh, that's good.
It is your yes. It is your love. It is you and all your experiences that cross time and space. This moment is just for this moment, but you can make it the best one you have by staying in your awareness of now and discerning it. And if you feel like you've just been taken away, or it's like you're out of touch, or you've missed your God voice, it's still there. But just pause. Take a moment to perceive it, to ponder it, to bring it into awareness. And you get to have that universal understanding and sense it. And then you can go, okay, I'm still here.
That is delicious. So I'm over here swooning. Thank you. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for being you. Thank you for having this soul-centered conversation. And thanks for blazing the torch.
Thank you for giving a platform and a new audience to those that need to hear it.
It's my honor, truly.
Mm-hmm.
So where can people come hang out with you if they want to learn more about you and the work that you do?
Well, I do have a website that I think is up and running better now that we've moved it. And it's Sandi, SANDI _ Anderson, SON, ANDERSON.com. Find me on Facebook. Instant message me. I am going to learn how to post this to my own website.
I got you.
Yeah. And call me.
Yeah.
My number is there.
Excellent.
And I would love to do even this again as far as a class or other classes. Why? Because it's time to get you guys on board and up to speed and going like, yes.
Absolutely.
Let's thrive into our best life, not just crawl and try to survive into our best life.
Time for that is over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will have a link to all of that in the show notes for people too. So,
awesome.
Yes.
Any questions, any concerns, any want to delve into deepers? Hey, now's the time to do it, folks.
Yes, delve into deepers. I can personally attest, and so would my munchkin if she were on this call, as to the awesome that is Aunt Sandi. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Sacred Psychology Podcast. I pray you found some inspiration and empowerment to go out and make this life the most fulfilling possible. You can follow Sacred Psychology on Facebook and YouTube. If you haven't yet, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Tag us on social media and let us know what you think as well. Please note that the information provided is not meant to convey professional, psychological, or medical advice. If you could use such services, I highly recommend seeking them out from someone you trust. To get in touch with me personally or to see how we might work together, please check out ariatherapy.com or talesfromatrapezoid.com. Until next time, everyone.